Club of Milwaukee. This is a great event, and I'm happy that you included me in it. It's for a great cause, and I'm happy to have some small part in helping to fight this disease. I'm also happy to have played at Notre Dame for Ara during the era of Ara, the 11 years, 1964 through 74, when Ara solidified his reputation as one of the great coaches of all time. As everyone knows, during those 11 football seasons, won 2 national championships, one in 66, one in 73. When I played, his overall winning record, 95, 17-4, 83%, outstanding record. And really over my years there, the memorable events, it's been touched on a little bit by Ross. But really for me, what was memorable was the any USC game, because that's why I went to Notre Dame. I'm sure that's why a lot of players went to Notre Dame, is to play in games like that, where you're playing against a big rival, quality opponent, and usually the game had national ranking implications. So any time we played them, it was a big game. It was memorable. Now we only won 1 out of 3, but that one game that we did win was outstanding. Notre Dame hadn't beaten Southern Cal, I think, in about 6 or 7 years, since '66 actually, and we played them in '73 at Notre Dame. And it was an outstanding game. They had beat us pretty handily the year before, and getting ready for that game, it began the week before in the locker room after we just had beaten Army 62-3. We got into that locker room, and you would have thought we won the national championship that game. We weren't celebrating the fact that we beat Army. We were celebrating the fact that we were getting ready to play Southern Cal. And the whole week, the campus was electric. Impromptu pep rallies throughout the week, and it just led up to a great game. And Ara did a masterful job of bringing us along that week, because we were ready to play on Saturday, as I said, Saturday after the game. But he kept us ready, and we went out there, had an outstanding game. That really the play of that game that I remember was Eric Pennick. It was our opening drive of the second half, and Eric ran 85 yards for a touchdown. And I think that was probably the loudest I've ever heard Notre Dame Stadium as a player, and even when I was there as a coach. So those games were always memorable. Obviously, Ross touched on the Sugar Bowl game. Anytime you can win a championship in a team sport, it has to be memorable. That's why you play a team sport, to win championships. And there's only a few players, a few people in history, college history, who have had the opportunity to play on a national championship team. And that was, that was an amazing scenario. Here you had 2 unbeaten and untied teams, 2 great football programs, 2 Hall of Fame coaches in Ara and Bear Bryant. And for once, the game lived up to the pregame hype. It was an outstanding game. Great plays were made by their team, offensively and defensively. Great plays were made by our team, offensively and defensively. The lead went back and forth a number of times. And finally, it was near the end of the game, 24-23, and it set the stage for Ara to make the call that really solidified his reputation as a great coach. We were backed up inside our own 10-yard line. It was 3rd and 4. Ara called a running play, said, let's go on a long count. We'll try to get them to jump off sides. They're dumb enough to jump off sides. We went on a long count, but Dave Casper was dumb also, and he jumped off sides. And now, instead of 3rd and 4 inside the 10, it's 3rd and 8 inside the 5. And if we can get it out and run out the clock, we win the national championship. Well, Ara fooled them. Sent in a second tight end, 3 backs in the backfield, running formation, and he called a play-action pass. And it certainly fooled Alabama, because their secondary reacted up to the run fake. Robin Weber came wide open. It was designed to go to Casper. Weber was going to clear out. Casper was going to cross over, but they just jumped up, and Weber ran free down the field, and I was able to get it to him. He caught it, and we went on to run out the clock and win the national championship. And as I said, that solidified Ara's reputation as one of the all-time great coaches. He and Notre Dame football were at the pinnacle of the college football world. And there's a story that illustrates just how big Ara was at that time. Each February, the Notre Dame Club of Chicago has their big dinner down in Chicago. And each year, a coach or a number of coaches and players would go down. Well, that year, obviously, Ara went down. He asked me to go down with him, drove down in his car, and we get there, and it's like unbelievable. Just all these, all the media's there talking to him, hey, great game, coach, great call, you're the best. And it just goes on and on for a couple of hours. So the evening ends, and time to go back to South Bend. And Ara says, you know, Tom, I'm a little tired. Why don't you drive the car back? I said, okay. So it's just he and I in the car. And I don't drive fast. You know, I try to stay under the speed limit. And so I'm driving about 5-10 miles under the speed limit, and I can see Ara over there looking at me. He wants to get home. You know, he wants me to speed it up a little bit, but I didn't do it. He said, can you speed it up? I need to get home. So I went up about another mile or 2 per hour. After about 10 minutes, he said, stop the car. He said, you get in the back seat, I'm going to drive. So I said, okay, I'm not going to argue with him. So he gets in the front seat, and he takes off. First, he's about 10 miles over the speed limit, 20 miles over the speed limit, 25. I mean, he's flying. You know, which, you know, we see a cop car. Hear the siren, hear the lights, they see the lights. So Ara pulls over, and a policeman comes up, and he looks at Ara, looks at me in the back seat, and said, can I have your driver's license, please? So he got the license, looked at it, looked at Ara again, looked at me in the back seat. Then he gets on the walkie-talkie to his chief back in the station. We can overhear him. He says, hey, Chief, I have a problem here. I said, what? He said, well, I just stopped someone for speeding, and they're big. Who is it? Is it the Archbishop? It's not the Archbishop, bigger. Is it the mayor of Chicago? No, it's not the mayor, it's someone bigger. He said, well, is it a senator of the state? He said, no, someone bigger. He said, well, who is it? He says, I had no idea, but Ara Parseghian is his chauffeur. That's how big Ara was. I'm just happy that I could be here and play some small role in helping raise some money for Ara's Medical Research Foundation. Anything I can do, I'm happy to do it. He's a great guy.
So it wasn't
happy to be
Tim,
here.
whatever his name was.